Hey, what's going on? Mathew, Tamin here with another Joomla tutorial. I want to go over SP Page Builder version 5. I did a video not too long ago that went over an overview to give you an idea of what it's like and how to use it. In this video, I want to cover what this does so you understand. If you can grasp what this does, you can be able to build just about anything with it. So you want to go over to joomshaper.com and you can purchase the pro version. Now they have a free version and they have a pro version. I always recommend the pro version because it gives you all the bells and the whistles that you need, but you can still build a solid site with the free version, but you're limited. So now let's head over to the actual demo. So when you come on here, and again, this is going to be a detailed explanation so you understand where things are, how to use it, how to customize your website, how to move things around, and all that good stuff. So when you come on here, you're going to notice this is the interface, right? This is the front end. When I started creating websites with Joomla, they didn't have front end editing back then. It was just everything was in the back end. Now this has a back end component as well, but I'm not going to cover the back end component, just the front end component, because that's where people spend most of their time to build. So when you look on here, you notice that you have the different devices. When you are building a website, you want to make sure that it's responsive. What that means is if someone is looking at your website from a landscape, that the site shows right. If they're looking at it from a tablet, that everything adjusts according to their screen. We're living in a mobile age right now. So if your website is not responsive, you're losing a lot of traffic. And the average person spends about 10 seconds or so on your site. If the site doesn't load or it's too slow, it doesn't show right, they're going to leave and may never come back. So being responsive is very vital, and search engines like Google, they will penalize you if your site is not responsive. I've seen website even in today's world that is not responsive. It looks horrible when you look at it from different devices. So this is where all those things are doing. So as you're building your website, from time to time, you want to check to see how it looks. You may need to make some adjustments based on the device. So if you design something, you notice that if it looks one way in the tablet or the laptop or the desktop view, and then you go to, let's say, a tablet, a phone view, and you notice that it's not looking how you want it to look, you may need to make some adjustments with that. So with the adjustments based on the device, you can see, so you want to scroll down every time that you're designing. Okay, I noticed that a lot of beginners, they don't do this. They just design and then they just launch it. If you want to do this on a professional level, you still have to double check, even though the software does that for you. For example, you look at this right here. On the mobile view, this is not looking correctly. So you would have to do some type of adjustment with this, right? So you probably have to get this centered, or you may have to change this some way, somehow. But if you look at this same section here, if you look at it from a desktop view, it looks good. So that's letting you know that you have to continue to check your work regardless of what device you're using it on. Because if you don't do that, clients are using your website, or you're designing for a client, and then they go and they see that, oh my goodness, this entire section looks messed up, and they've paid you any amount of money, they are not going to be happy about that. So make sure that you're always checking back landscape view. Once you design for a period of time, you check back. So this is key. This is very, very vital. Okay, don't miss this part of it. Check your work as you design. So now that we have the responsiveness part out of the way, now let's take a look at this other buttons, right? So you have the undo and redo. There are times when you're designing, and if you make a mistake, right, you delete something. Let's say for this one, I'm gonna go over what this options here are. So let's say I delete this by accident. Oops, I didn't mean to. Now, instead of you again, freaking out, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? I've lost all that work. You haven't lost it. Now, if you click save and then you X out of it, then you've lost that work. But if something like that happened where you didn't mean to make that change, you click this undo, and right there is going to put back what what you deleted by accident. That happens all the time. So you better get used to it. Get used to the undo and the redo. Now, once you're designing your site, you can preview to see what it looks like. This right now, as you move your mouse over different sections here, only you have the ability to see these, right? Only you can see these highlights, the blue highlights, to let you know where you can edit. The general public, they don't see this when they're looking at the site. So the way for you to preview what the public is going to see is you click on preview. Once you click on preview, now you can look at the front end as if you were a visitor to the site. Now tell people that make sure that you do the preview as well. So while you're designing it, just do a preview, scroll through the site. When you design a section, you scroll through your design, and once you're done, you do a final scroll through to make sure that everything looks good. Okay, so now let's take a look more at some other stuff. So you have to save. I tell people to get in the habit of saving more often, because there are times this doesn't have an autosave function with it. There are times when you're designing, and I've had this happen to me not too often. I had to learn from that. You're designing your whole page, you're designing, and then you forget to click the save button. All of a sudden, your computer, your laptop, whatever you're using to edit just shuts down, and you probably spend whatever time, you lose all that work. You can't get it back because this doesn't have the ability to do autosave, which is a feature that they should consider adding autosave, that after you design for maybe a few minutes or whatever, they give you parameters for that. After that, then you can be able to click on save, and it's going to save your work, or it can auto save your work. So next thing, you have these three dots here. So when you click on there, you can click to close. When you click to close, it's going to close. It's going to ask you, do you want to make any, you want to save the changes? So I'm going to click leave page, and then it's going to bring me back to the front end. Okay, so if you click close and you don't save your work, that's what's going to happen. You are going to lose all of that work. And if you put in time in there, you don't want that. So let's go back to the edit. Now the edit shows up on every page. So once you install Page Builder on your Joomla website, that edit and you log in is going to show up only after you log in. So the general public is not going to see that, just you. So let's click on these three icons here again. So you have export. Now the export feature is great because when you click export, you can export content and import it somewhere else. So if you have to transfer your content from one site to another site, you click on the export and it's going to give, you can export everything on here, and then you transfer it over to another site. You can do the same thing too with import. So if you want to, you've designed a site, let's say you're doing on a stage server, right? So you're doing it somewhere else and you want to let the client see what you're doing, or you want to preview it somewhere else on a different server. You can click export. It's going to export the JSON files. You can export those, and then you can go wherever you want to. You click import, and it's going to allow you to import. So when I click import, it's going to ask me where I want to import, get the files from. So this is important. So this helps you out a lot, because there are times when I'm designing stuff for someone, right? Or even for myself, and I want to export it to a completely different server than what I have. I take that, export it, and import it into another Joomla site. Now that site has to be Joomla. It can't be any other site. So that saves you so much more time, and you have a lot of stuff, flexibility there. Now the clear content. So if you're designing something or you want to start from scratch again, when you click on clear, it is going to clear everything on the page. So if you don't want to click on clear, or if you don't want to clear everything, do not click on clear. So let's see what happens. I click on clear. It's going to ask me, are you sure you want to clear the content of this page? So I'm going to click on OK. When I do that, it clears everything off. So now I can start from scratch.